It's going to show in relationship choices. It's going to show in habit patterns. It's going to show in coping mechanisms. And we have the choice to either work with it or continue to hide it and run from it over and over and have those same cycles happen over and over again. Hey, beautiful. Welcome to Naturally Empowered Living, your safe space to guiding you on your unapologetic self-awakening journey. This is your weekly sanctuary for waking up from autopilot and transforming the way you approach life through the power of meditation, energetics, and root cause therapy. It is my mission to help you heal unprocessed emotions and release stuck energies by alchemizing your struggle cycles into opportunities for deep self-love, awareness, trust, and connection, to return to your innate essence of being, stepping back into your energy of alignment. Because here, we honor all parts of ourselves, the messy and the magic, the shadows and the light, embodying all parts that make you, you. So if you are ready to get to the root of cultivating real change, get cozy, grab your journal and maybe favorite crystals, and let's discover our power within together. What is up, beautiful listeners? Have I mentioned how wonderful it feels to be back behind the mic? I was just talking to a friend the other day. I'm like, yeah, we were on our road trip for 2.5 weeks, and that was already over a month ago. Like, it seems so wild because like we were in our little cocoon, but we come back and it's like life never stopped, and it was just like a blip in time, and what is time and all those things. But it just feels so good to be back behind the mic. I have so many wonderful ideas and just concepts to bring and conversations to have and guests on the show upcoming, and I'm just so smitten to be here. So thank you for also being here. Just so good. So good. Sometimes it's necessary to just pause and allow yourself to sit in your own cocoon, right? To sit in that own cocoon and just allow yourself to be, to realize how far you've come, to just be connected and present to the present now. Allow yourself to just be for a minute and to pause and to feel. Connect with your body, connect with that feeling of where you are, and really connect with that inner child, or connect with that version of you 5, 10, even 1 year ago, to where you are now. Because sometimes we get so caught in the want phase, or in the I'm not there yet phase, right, which is still the want phase, that we actually possibly receive what it is that we do want, but we're already on to the next want. So we're never like fully fulfilled or fully in that present moment because we're caught in that want cycle. And then if we receive what we want, we're not even taking time to marvel and be in that because we're already on to the next want. Does that make sense? So I want this episode to really be an invitation to slow down, to be with yourself, to connect with yourself, to hold space for yourself, and also to hold space with me, because I want to share a little bit about my last week in the capacity, of course, always bringing this full circle to resonate with you, how this can fit in your life, or just to resonate the feelings and the conversation. You know that this yes is my outlet, but it's also that space, that safe container for you to then bring this back to your life full circle, how this resonates for you and your own awakening journey. So like I already shared, we, got back from our road trip, a month ago, and I still don't feel caught up, full transparency. We made the bright decision to get back a day before school started. Not bright decision, obviously. It's just been a whirlwind, right? And the heaviness just of a lot of external factors. And my son has already missed days of school because we had emergencies pop up, and we had unforeseen travels and just a lot of events that I was not expecting. And expecting is like the new shoulding all over yourself, right? Like, I was expecting this, or I assumed this. It's like the should, like when we should all over ourselves, and it's like, hey, let's take this step back here. You should be doing XYZ, but where is that should coming from? So like, this was me. I was expecting that, getting back to school would be this magical realignment back into consistency. And I know my work days and, the summer crazy cuckoo banana cakes lack of routine is out the window. And now we're back to the simplicity and like the 3 days of structure. Like my work day, I have 3 work days a week. And yeah, already, there's already sickness and we've had unexpected travel and it's life, right? And I found myself being caught in this cycle of I was just waiting for the next ball to drop because of the, yes, lack of consistency, but just the things that kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I was waiting just for the next thing to happen. And that's not me. It's not me. And of course, like I had that awareness around it. And here I am, like then going down these internal rabbit holes of like, where is this stemming from? Is this a pattern that I, need to focus on? Is this a cycle that I need to break? But then it's like the beauty of like, hey, you have this awareness. You're paying attention. Yes, you feel like you're stuck in this survival mode, but it's been a couple weeks. And naturally, as humans, as life, as evolution, we go through cycles, we go through seasons. And it's a transitional part of, life, like back to school, change of physical seasons with, being in the Northern Hemisphere. And it's just something that I really had to bring, yes, awareness around for my personal life, but also I'm sharing this with you because bringing in the weight of the world and the energies of the world as a collective, even though we might not know each other personally, or you might not know this, tragic event personally, or you weren't somewhere, or whatever that might be, energy is infinite. And there is a collective energy that we also can't bypass, right? We can't bypass what the heaviness is. Oh my gosh, I'm making up words. But there's also that discernment of, hey, this might not be me. Like this might not be my energy. Yes, I could hold compassion, I could hold empathy, but I could also discern because my present life, it's still here, right? And how do I want to show up in my life in the day to day? We're not bypassing and we're not, neglecting or anything going on, but we're still protecting our peace and protecting our energy, the discernment piece, because that's a very real thing, is discerning. It's having that spiritual maturity of the discernment of what is our own and what is not our own. And again, like we're masters, experts, gurus, whatever word you want to call it, we still have that wake up call sometimes where it's like, oh, okay, like let's take this step back here and let's reassess, let's realign. And something else too, like with all of this like commotion and upheaval, it's like, oh my gosh, Jenna, like I hosted an event at my physical downtown location last week, welcoming naturally empowered living into the community. Like how huge is that? Like that has been a dream since I started this business back in 2019. What was once this postpartum blog of helping moms find their identity and find themselves again outside of mom and motherhood. And it's transformed into this something on this collective level, like the ripples, the impact. And when I sit back and marvel, it brings tears to my eyes because it's so easy, yes, to get caught up in the day-to-day, into the heaviness, into the unknowns, into the no time of transitions and the weight of the world and all the things. Like we all live complex lives. We all live through hardships. We all live through ebbs and flows and seasons and the ups and the downs, and we all have different upbringings and environments and social atmospheres and dynamics, and none of that is to ever be bypassed. Yet something that I want to talk about today is how we are all made up of energy and how we all have emotions, right? The energy, the emotions, the feelings within us. Like emotions are incredible. They are the language of our soul. They're part of our life experience. They are a communication method for ourselves, a guidance system, if we allow them to be, right? And they're all necessary, right? And it becomes a tricky situation when, one person might have a different upbringing than another, and then those two, collide later in life, and then they're like, well, I don't know, maybe one person doesn't talk about emotions, and maybe one person does, and like it's beautiful, the human experience. But with that, like I just said, like based on our experiences and how our body is taught to process said experiences, that's where that nervous system science comes into play. These emotions, these energies can get stuck within our bodies. And this is something that I talked about at the event that we hosted last week. And this is what I kind of want to talk about today too, because it was a very foundational level. Like this event, it brought in people that had no idea what root cause therapy was, had no idea what I did, right? For the services and offerings that I can bring to others. And it was kind of funny. I didn't really know what to expect. Like I kind of thought it was going to be this mingly, like I had little flyers and brochures and like little pamphlets to read and there was like a little cheese tray, water, whatever. And I was like, I don't know what to expect. And it turned into be not my worst nightmare, but it made me laugh because I used to cry like in any sort of public speaking engagement. I could never do it. And it turned into be like me speaking, in front of a group of people, which was so good for me. I could hear my voice cracking. And not that I wasn't confident in what I was saying or competent in what I was saying. It was the lack of comfort because it was something that I always ran away from, public speaking. And now it's so funny. Here I am having a podcast, and like goals of mine are like to get some sort of speaking coach in the future to be able to talk on stage and have these huge presentations. Oh my gosh, talk about, just life goals of speaking to the masses. But I just hearing my voice crack, it just brought me so much joy and gratitude because I would have never done something like that in the past. But okay, anyway, coming back, reeling it back in here. What we talked about, as, they're like, what do you do? What is root cause therapy? Give us your spiel, right? And this is kind of the road that I went down in the capacity of just sharing, like, we can all be so different. However, we're all so the same in another sense. Like, we are all still human, right? And what I want to share is how these emotions, how this energy can ultimately, direct and guide our path, like unraveling some truth behind how we are the way we are and how we act and react and process and live our lives is partially dependent on our past experiences. And also, more importantly, not only our past experiences, but how our bodies responded to those experiences. Because it's not necessarily an event that may have an impact or an imprint on you. It's rather how your body responds, how your nervous system was able to hold that and process that in the moments. So an imprint or a stuck emotion, if you will, happens when an event overwhelms our body's capacity to actually process what is happening in that moment. So what possibly might be traumatizing for one person might not be for another. So it's not the situation alone that may cause a trauma. And, caveat here, like there are certain experiences that probably will cause trauma to the masses because of the extremity of that. However, it is an energetic component that overwhelms our system's capacity to process the experience and how we do something in those moments. And more often than not, in the collective society that we live in, we often choose to ignore or shove under the rug or suppress or repress these said feelings or these said experiences or emotions or imprints simply because it's more comfortable to not think about it, to not handle it. Or maybe you were never taught how to do that, right? You were never taught how to process, or you were told not to cry, or you were trying to please a caregiver, so you silenced your voice because it was easier, right? You felt more attention, or you had that sort of conditional love. However, that leads to the compounded emotions and stuck energies and blockages formed because we're not fulfilling that loop, that emotional loop within our body. And ultimately, coming from a woo-woo standpoint now, like we kind of just brought up a little bit of nervous system, now to bring up this woo-woo piece, is when we have these compounded stuck emotions, it ultimately like gunks up. It causes interference with our energy of alignment, with our highest intentions, with our highest good. So avoidance, in my opinion, if your goal is like to live free and peaceful and full of love and gratitude, avoidance is not an option long term. Because if you keep avoiding, you're going to keep having the same triggers. You're going to keep having the same experiences because that stuck emotion or that compounded energy within you, it starts to create this pattern because your nervous system had that experience, felt that emotion, wasn't able to process said emotion. So now that's what's normal. That's what's comfortable. When you feel that emotion or when you're in that sort of situation again, your nervous system reverts back to, oh, this is how we felt. This is what we did. This is what's going to happen again. And that's how these loops and these patterns keep happening. And eventually, I mean, it's going to keep coming up to the surface. It's going to show in relationship choices. It's going to show in habit patterns. It's going to show in coping mechanisms. And we have the choice to either work with it or continue to hide it and run from it over and over and have those same cycles happen over and over again. And I know that we've talked about this before on the show, but also just having that event last week, there's been a lot of an influx of listeners over the past few weeks. And I'm just so thankful for this. Seeing this, I don't check my analytics and stuff so often, but just knowing that there is a new group of listeners listening and here in this community. And I thank you so much for being here. So if you've heard this before, I know I always talk a little bit different because obviously this is always from the heart. So I just love to be able to share the foundations of this work in different lights, right? So I know I've said this on the show, this is what I was getting at, that we always have the option to say no, right? We could tell our subconscious or, those thoughts or, what, like, nope, I'm not ready. Not ready for this today. Nope, I am just... And that's how we kind of get caught in these nervous system survival mode seasons also, because we're waiting for the next ball to drop. So here we are, our subconscious nervous system, we're like, all right, we're not going to bring it up to him. We're not going to bring it up to him. But here these patterns keep happening because we're ultimately saying no, right? We're not allowing ourselves to fully be in those experiences and those feelings. So what all that to say is, please understand that you're going to continue to see and feel and experience these patterns until you're ready to work through and process those emotions. So when we look at these ruts or stuck emotions from a compassionate viewpoint, we can see that they're the energies that didn't have the ability to be felt. And we maybe created orphaned parts around them. We maybe created disassociation from these pieces of ourselves in those moments that we weren't able to fully process, or in those moments that we didn't have the tools to work with them, or again, when possibly a caregiver, we didn't feel safe to express our full selves, so we dissociated from this part of ourselves. We packed them away, placed them as far away from our conscious identities as possible. So that's a trick of this work, is that energy is still remaining. Yes, you pushed it away from your conscious identity, but it's still living in your unconscious. So it's having that awareness to those patterns to be able to unpack them and meet them with compassion, because they're still a part of us. So the first part, I kind of just said this, in really understanding these patterns or these stuck emotions, is to bring awareness around them, to get curious and possibly what these roots are, what your patterns are. and seeing them, bringing light into your conscious view now. It's not easy to say, I have an orphaned part that's full of rage. It's easier to see, I have really bad road rage. Like, what is it about this road rage that I keep, but then these cars are pulling out in front of me when there's no one behind me. Why is this just me? You start to bring that awareness to these patterns, because sometimes it's easier to see a pattern than to actually see the root to begin with. Another example too is if you're attracted to certain types of people, or you keep finding yourself in these same types of relationships, right? A big key here is after that awareness piece. Obviously we're doing this work, and there's so it's the dash, right? There's so much in between, but we come to a space of honoring and loving and welcoming all parts of ourselves to bring in the peace and sovereignty. Root cause work is some of the deepest work that we can do with ourselves. And I believe it's an integral part of our healing, of our evolution, because it's a complement to the bridging of the gap of here we are as adults. And yeah, we didn't know what we knew then, and we didn't have control over a lot of it then, right? When we were little, our inner child, all these things. But now if we have this awareness and we're taking responsibility and ownership of our present life now, and you want to feel the peace, the presence, the confidence, the clarity, belief, joy, love, balance, you can open yourself up to that subconscious world of root cause work. I'm kind of feeling to stick with some educational type episodes coming up here. I kind of want to do a trauma series explaining different types of trauma, between developmental trauma, acute trauma, complex trauma, and do a little hodgepodge of just, I don't know. So with that said, something that I offered and presented at that in-person event last week was a submission box. So any questions you have, or a topic that you want to hear on the show, a specific guest that you want to bring on the show, I want to remind you that we also have that opportunity for you to submit here what you want to hear on the show. So it's a Google form that you could fill out. So I'll attach it to the show notes, and it's also in the description of the show indefinitely. So that was something that I brought to my in-person location, because I was like, this is so important. Like, I want to help you how you want to be helped. Like, I want to help you with what you need, right? So I'll add that submission form to the show notes, and it's also in the description of this show. And if you're local to Blanchardville, if you're local to where I am, Blanchardville, Wisconsin, I would love for you to come to our physical location, and you could submit a question there. You could check out the complete work and the complete shop of the beautiful location of Rooted Collective 201, a compilation of different vendors, essentially, that all make their own goods, from household to clothing to homeopathic to meats and produce and sourdoughs. And it's just such a beautiful location, and that is where I lease space from, or within. I'm not a part of the consignment, but I lease space within that building, Rooted Collective 201 in Blanchardville, Wisconsin. And you could come submit an actual written in question from there as well. So one last thing. Now is not a time to lose hope. Take that in whatever capacity that you need, however that resonates to you. Now is not a time to lose hope. It's a time to spread your hope. Until next week, as always, simply be you. You have everything inside of you to learn your energy of alignment and be unapologetic in who you are. I'm sending my love and so much light.
Did you find this episode free or empowering? Please read my review. Tickle, boop.
Thank you for spending the sacred time with me on Naturally Empowered Living. If this episode brought you closer to stepping into your energy of alignment, I'd love for you to leave a written review and share how this show has supported your journey. Your feedback truly lights me up and helps others find the space of transformation. And sharing it with someone who might need it spreads the ripple of healing even further. Be sure to check the show notes for ways to connect with me and explore personalized healing sessions and mentorships to deepen your self-awakening journey. Thank you. I appreciate all you are and all you do.